1, 2, 3, 2. Welcome to An Otherwise Quiet Room. I'm Mandy Connell, and we're a web series featuring singer-songwriters swapping songs and stories in social spaces. In the Moreland Sessions, we feature businesses and small social spaces and different singer-songwriters for 11 episodes. In every episode, I learn one of their songs, they learn one of mine, and we cover another independent songwriter. For An Otherwise Quiet Room, I met Liz Stringer at VICSEG New Futures. She taught me her song Keep Keeping On and Neal Murray's Lights of Hay, and I taught her my song Bruises.
The rain is pouring down, the city is grieving, 'cause you left yesterday. And I cannot stop my own chest from its heaving. There must be another way. I wanna tell you how it feels, my friend. I wanna tell you that it never ends, that I'm in love with you. I can't stop it hurting, I'm in love with you. And there's nothing that I can do in the morning when I wake without you. So keep staying strong, keep keeping on. In a flash of light is dark and it's sinking, without that miracle smile. Tedious ache of trying to do the right thing. It feels like it's cramped my style. I wanna tell you how it feels, baby. I wanna tell you about you and me, that I'm in love with you. Yes, darling, I'm in love with you. And there's nothing that I can do in the morning when I wake without you. So keep staying strong, keep keeping on. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I wanna tell you how it feels, baby. I wanna tell you about you and me, that I'm in love with you. Yes, darling, I'm in love with you. And there's nothing one of us can do in the morning when I wake without you. So keep staying strong, keep keeping on. Except keep staying strong, keep keeping on. Except keep staying strong, keep keeping on. Keeping on, ooh. Keeping on, ooh, ooh.
In the song that you've chosen for, your song that you've chosen for the Moreland Sessions, there's something about a flash of light and sinking, and every time my mind is already somewhere else with the image from before, and I keep getting it just like a flash of light.
Keep up, Connell, keep up.
Well, I didn't need to sing that bit, so I didn't,
Oh
didn't need
shit,
to write
this
it down.
fucking microphone.
Ah,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Let's keep going. That's excellent.
Cool. Well, yeah, you know, that's the thing about about a song, isn't it? You have a finite amount of space, and you know, I think that, like, for me, great songs that I love, including, you know, Lights of Hay is a great example. You know, you keep uncovering little gems along the path, you know, and I think
songwriting is an infinitely interesting medium as a writer, I think, because you can work on the kind of macro or micro level of the song, and put so many little details in there and make sure that every word really earns its place. Or you can just like zoom out a bit and just be like more of a, I don't know, I'm starting to crap on because I love this stuff, but I know what you're saying.
That's totally allowed. That's the purpose of the
That's why I'm here, I guess.
Of the chat. Yeah.
Finally, someone listens to me when I talk about this shit.
Well, I don't spend a lot of time doing songwriting workshops or getting lessons on stuff like this. So this is kind of a masterclass for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully for other people too who want to have a deeper look at why you put things together the way you do or the way you look at it. And for me, it almost always tends to be a micro on an emotion. So I'll pick a moment or an emotion which is a bigger story which I want to tell, and then I'll focus on, like, for the song I've chosen, Bruises, it's about the blood on the floor and the bruises on the elbows. And then everything else doesn't need to be very specific. I don't need to describe police, and I don't need to describe the whole scenario. I can just talk about these one things that this woman is concentrating on, because her world has come right down to these details. And I think there's something so beautiful about being able to do that zoom and that zoom.
Well, that I've found that you don't have to explain yourself kind of explicitly all the time, and if you do that and you're too literal or you're too pointed about trying to explain to someone what you're trying to say, you lose the poeticism, and through that you actually lose the image. So there is I think the other great luxury about songwriting is that so much of it is the understanding is the interpretation from the listener. So you can be, as long as, for me, one can be as kind of obtuse on the page as one wants, as long as, the writer understands what they're trying to say, I think. So, and everyone is coming at everything from their own perspective, with all of their own bias, with all their own experience. So everything that you listen to and you absorb culturally or you consume, I hate that term when it comes to art, but it's true, is coloured and interpreted through your own experience anyway. So it's like there's no use spoon feeding someone an image, or it's like if you just put a little flash up there and then it'll spark something in someone's brain, and it's going to be a different part in everyone. So, and that's what I love about it.
He was stretched out on the table, most of his blood on the floor. There were bruises on my elbows, but I never said a word. I only said I warned him. I warned him it could happen, though I swore it never would. Last spring when he came crawling back again, promises that he could change, we would be happy for the last time, like the first time when we met, when we moved into this house. I thought I'd never shed another tear, but there were bruises on my cheekbones when they locked me in my cell. I guess that they're used to that, public sign of private hell. There were
bruises on my cheekbones, but they couldn't make me tell. I only said I warned him. I warned him, I warned him. I warned him it could happen. It should have turned out well. There were bruises on my elbows when they finally came through the door. He was stretched out at the table, most of his blood on the floor. There were bruises on my elbows, but I never said a word. I only said I warned him. I warned him, I warned him. I warned him it could happen. I swore. I warned him it could happen, though it should. I warned him it could happen, though I swore it never would. I was really excited about doing it here for one of the episodes, filming here for one of the episodes, because I really wanted to show off what Moreland can do and all of the interesting, I guess, small businesses and social spaces that we have here.
Great.
And yours is definitely a social space. So can you tell me a bit about VICSEG and Second Stitch?
Sure. We're a non-profit. We're a refugee migrant support agency. So we've been operating for about 35 years, doing a whole lot of stuff with newly arrived families in various capacities. And this is our little creative hub where we work with different communities and the wider community and do a variety of things around celebrating diversity, bringing cultures together, and then hosting a whole lot of events. So we set up this as a big multi-purpose creative hub. We've got movable walls that we use as galleries and exhibitions, and so when we started up, a big interest was from the different people who were using the space was in textiles. So we got a few machines and we got a little bit of equipment, we got a small grant, and we set up a little sewing room or sewing studio. And then as things grow and snowball, it's kind of snowballed into an enterprise where we employ a couple of women from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds. And they're seamstresses. They make a whole lot of different products for the early childhood sector. We make some lovely cushions, we do clothes alterations and repairs, so we're kind of finding our way. So it operates a couple of days a week, and it's a really good, textiles and sewing is a really good outlet for people, and it's a really good way that people can communicate, because often you're stitching something slowly, and it's that communication that exists around that's the real essence of the place, I guess.
When I probably first saw Neal play, which is over 10 years ago now, he played that and I just loved it. It's like Neal's such a groovy dude, you know. He's got a real sense of groove, and he plays the kind of flat out punk stuff, which is what Warumpi basically were. They were a rock and roll punk band, you know. And then he's got this real, he's got a lot of songs that have just such a cool kind of laid back, but yet very intense vibe to them, and I really, that's what I liked about Lights of Hay. And then, you know, the more that you listen to it, and I did obsessively before I interviewed him anyway, and then again when I was preparing for it, but he's so connected to his country, and that's what we talked about a lot, you know, and the way that he writes about country and about travelling, like he's very earthy dude, you know, for want of a much less shitty way of describing it, or lazy way, but he's very visceral in the way that he writes, and that's what I like about, like, a lot of the authors that I like are like that. They write about country really well, and
he's kind of got that evocative thing that Tim Winton has when you read.
Totally. In fact, I was just thinking about Tim Winton then, like, you know, I think Tim Winton can write about Western Australia and having spent a lot of time in WA over the years, it puts me right back there every time, really physically. And, you know, Neal does that with me about wherever he's writing about, you know, hay in Victoria or is that in New South Wales? But it's on the East Coast somewhere, you know.
I love, because I've been doing so much driving over the last 2 years, I love the imagery of driving into a town, not knowing if you've got enough petrol and just seeing the lights and just desperately wanting to be home.
Yeah.
I really felt that, and it's so centered in a wider context that you can break away from that feeling in the song. But I just love that one direction that you can feel on the way home.
Yeah.
Like you sighted on it and you're nearly there.
Well, that's what's amazing about the way that he writes it, is that it, like, he's just going in one direction, but you feel his mind starting to wander. You know, it's like it goes into. He starts thinking about all of this really big picture stuff in this lazy kind of subconscious way. And that's exactly because I spent a lot of time on the road and a lot of time alone on the road, and I identify so much with the places that his brain goes in that song, and that line where he says, "I used to have dreams more than I can manage. Now all I need is a coffee and a sandwich," and it, like, I understand that because it just becomes such an arbitrary thing, like, you know, touring around and playing, and I just think he just is a great writer. I don't think there's any other way to say it. And there's also a real, there's a lot of emotion and a lot of this kind of really earnest, in the best way, connection to what he's singing. And I love him. I think he's great.
Driving tonight, out on the plains, trying to put some distance on a bad day. My husband's broken and it's hard to see just where the road is leading me, but I see the lights of hate. Couldn't be more than 40K. My tank's on empty, but I don't slow down. Whatever goes wrong anyhow. To all the places that I've ever been, to all the back roads and the cheap hotels. I did my best working your lonely rooms, far away from loved ones beneath that cold moon. I see the lights of hate. Shouldn't be too far away. I once had dreams more than I could manage. Now all I need is a coffee and a sandwich. It's easy to get trapped in a traveling zoo. You get to watch all the warnings you ever heard turn true. It's too late when you know where we're nothing, not even sure what it is you want to do. Who can say when? Who can say how? Man will pay for his mistakes somehow. Just when you think you got yourself in the clear, you can find yourself paying someone else's reason. I see the lights of hate. Couldn't be more than 30K. If I done wrong, then bring it on now. Let me in or let me down. 'cause they don't know. Some kind of judgment comes to us all. You don't have to be a scientist to see the writings on the wall. When they're raping the land, selling out the fire, carving out the mountains, helping themselves to their hide, stealing all that water, fouling up the air. Is it any wonder our weather's gone mad? But I see the lights of hate. Couldn't be more than 20 Ks. Do you think we'll make it? I said to myself, well, if we don't let those lights go out.
We were an otherwise quiet room, a mostly otherwise quiet room at Second Stitch,
Yeah.
at New Futures and Second Stitch, and I was really honoured to have you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Mandy. Good to see you. Thanks.
The rain is pouring down the city.